Hello everyone, this is Amanda Coulong with TechZulu live at Source13 by Flurry, and we are now with Tim Kloss of Marmalade. And you were just on a panel, and it was about building your house better and faster. What exactly were you guys talking about?
So we were a bunch of tools and services providers, and we were talking about how we help mobile app developers cut their costs and time to market for building apps and make the whole space just a little bit more navigable, make it easier for developers to make more money.
Some would say, though, that a slow burn is better, where you just gently work away at it and build it slowly and get things just right. I mean, where do you stand in that?
I think that's fine, but I think, if we look at what developers are telling us, I think maybe 6 months ago, a lot more people were saying, yeah, we want to take that approach, but now pretty much every developer to a man is saying, I've definitely got to be on iPhone and Android, at the same time when I launch this. We're a company that's all about cross-platform. We're offering cross-platform tools and services, so we're helping to solve that problem of going to 2 or more platforms at the same time, and that problem has become more acute, I would say, the more that the kind of app distribution and user engagement model is moving towards frequent app updates. Whereas in the past, it was like, I'm going to build my app and that's it. You might have been able to get away with a kind of serial approach. Yep. I'm going to build it, then I'm going to port it and release this one 6 months later. If you're releasing a new version of your app every month or every 2 weeks even, which is the case, especially with some of these freemium games.
Pressure's on.
Yeah, and you want to be able to do that simultaneously, so all your users are on the same version of the app, whether you're on Windows Phone, Android or iOS or whatever.
So talk a little bit more about how Marmalade specifically works.
So fundamentally, we are a C++ SDK. Okay. You write vanilla C code. We support all the C++ standard libraries. It's just like if you were building a Windows app or something. If you're a Windows guy, you're in Windows on Visual Studio. If you're a Mac guy, you're in Mac on Xcode. Yep. You can stay entirely within that tooling and write familiar C code, and you can deploy to all platforms from within that single set of tools. So even if you're on Windows, you can deploy to iPhone. If you're on Mac, you can deploy to Android or iPhone or any of the other platforms that we support. And because we support all the C standards, you can pull in any existing C code, whether that's like an open source library or a whole open source engine, like, I don't know, Box2D if you want to use doing a physics game or something, or it could be pre-existing C code proprietary to you. So maybe you've got some old PC code base or whatever it is. You can bring all that in and make that compile within Marmalade. And because of that, about half our licensees are kind of using it as a porting platform, where they're originating content in some other world, whether that's PC or iOS or whatever, and then porting it into Marmalade to go everywhere else. And the other half of our licensees are using it more like a traditional app development framework, where they're building from the ground up.
And what sort of results have they seen? I mean, in terms of just the time to market and whatnot?
So yeah, maybe as a use case of what we were just saying, a notable one was early last year, Draw Something, if you remember that, was a super successful game, and they built that on Marmalade, and that was really key to the success.
Wasn't my fault.
Rock and roll. That was key to the success of that app, was being able to deploy updates really quick across both iPhone and Android, and that's how they were able to retain and gain new users.
You've had some other big games using Marmalade as well. Can you name some of those?
Sure. So, a whole load of EA games like Need for Speed, Tetris, games from PopCap like Plants vs. Zombies and Peggle. We have Cut the Rope, Lara Croft, Call of Duty by Activision, Pro Evolution Soccer by Konami. Those are some of the games from the big publishers. And then we also have a ton of smaller studios as well using the product.
Are you mainly focusing on the gaming market, or are there other verticals as well?
I guess we're focusing on it to the extent that's where most of our licensees are right now. There's nothing inherent in the technology that's really kind of limiting it to games. But I guess because it's based around C++ and it's high performance, and that's something which is particularly sweet for game developers, because they need that more than some other types of apps, obviously.
Where would you say services will play out in the mobile economy overall? How important are services?
I think, the whole space is becoming more complex, I think, especially when it comes to monetization. Yeah. So, fragmentation is increasing. Yeah. It kind of it kind of got a lot better, or when iPhone was the only game in town. That wasn't so good for us, to be honest, because we were selling cross-platform tools. But thankfully, it's got a whole lot worse again. And it's really the case now that it's quite difficult to try and address this plethora of different device types and things unless you're using some kind of tool or service like Marmalade or Accelerator or some of these other guys that were on the panel. And also in terms of the connected services, so Marmalade at the moment is really a client-side solution.
Okay.
And we rely on an ecosystem of partners that integrate with us for all the connected things, whether that's ads, analytics, cross-promotion, etc. That whole space of cloud services is getting quite complex to navigate, especially for the smaller developer. There's 100+ companies in that space, I would say now. Smaller developers can't afford to go and try them all out and work out what works for them. So some way of aggregating those and providing a best fit for different types of developer, I think, would be a valuable add-on. So I think there's a space in the market for someone to come up with that kind of product.
Sure. Who is your ideal target specifically for Marmalade?
I don't know if there's one type of developer, but I guess, at the moment, it's someone who's wanting to create a consumer app, either a game or some kind of rich media app where they want a really slick UI, and that they're prepared to use C or C++. Either they have a competency there, or they're happy to use that rather than Objective-C and Java.
Oh my goodness! Where did the idea originally come from for you to create Marmalade?
Well, now you're asking. I mean, the company's been around for a long time, actually. We rebranded about 18 months ago as Marmalade because, we thought the time was right to kind of reposition ourselves. But we've been doing this since about 2003.
Oh, wow, really?
The original fragmentation problem we were trying to solve was Brew, Symbian, and Windows Mobile, Pocket PC. And we were working with companies like EA who were taking essentially PlayStation 1 type content and trying to deploy it on those very limited devices. So that was where we originated a technology which we patented to let you kind of compile once to raw machine code, get maximum performance out of your constrained device, and yet make it completely cross-platform at the same time. And squeezing that out, even though devices are like orders of magnitude more powerful than they were then, still being able to squeeze that last ounce of performance is critical for some types of apps, especially rich media apps and games.
What are some of the discussions that you've had here at Source13 or other, maybe some other trends or whatnot that you've noticed here at the conference?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think there's a lot of people talking about what the next platform is going to be.
What do you think the next platform is going to be?
Well, we're working closely with both Microsoft and RIM around the new Windows and BlackBerry platforms. We'd like both of those to succeed. Obviously, one of them will be number 3, one of them will be number 4. Who knows? But we think there's definitely space in the market for at least one more major platform. And Marmalade will support that platform, whatever it might be.
So are you preparing for both then?
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's sort of like with the Super Bowl, when they've got everything printed for both teams, but only one wins.
Yeah, kind of. And I mean, that's one of the beauties of using cross-platform tools, like Marmalade and others, is that you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. You're hedging, right? Of course, you definitely want a solution that supports the major platforms today, iPhone and Android, but ideally you also want to hedge against what the next platform is going to be. And if you do that, then you can get lots of love from that platform owner. You can be an early adopter with all the advantages of being there in the store, when it's less crowded.
Right. Any parting thoughts? Anything you want to share about where Marmalade specifically is going this year?
I think one of the things we're thinking about a lot right now at the start of 2013 is what's happening with the TV, particularly games on the TV screen. Last year people might have been talking about that as smart TV, but now it's become a bit of a bigger space. And the interesting thing is that even like a conference like this, which is very mobile centric, people are thinking about it because what's happening is that the developers that are originating content in the mobile space are also realizing that wherever there's an app ecosystem, they can take that content. So it might be mobile first, but they might then want to take that to another screen. And we think that games on TV is quite an exciting space for 2013 and beyond.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure. And we would love to speak with you again sometime.
Great, it'd be a pleasure. Thanks.
Great. Everybody, make sure you check out Marmalade. And this is Tim Kloss. I am Amanda Cool.